Welcome back, viewers. This is Sam or Shmow from Enderwarp, live and in the flesh for the first time. This is the first time anyone in Enderwarp has done a face reveal, actually. I wanted to do this with Rick in person because I actually went to meet him in person for the first time about a week ago. And I asked him, and he didn't really want to reveal his face, which is understandable. Maybe someday we'll do that. But for now, it's just me. And uh, it's been kind of a pain getting this to work because there's been a million technical difficulties for some reason. I'm already gonna go ahead and mention I know the audio quality isn't great right now. I accidentally left my microphone at home when I was this most recent time going back up to college where I am right now. So for now, I'm using my built-in microphone and my webcam, which is not great. But we already have a video, a tour pre-recorded, two tours actually, I think it was, um, that have the right microphone and everything. They sound fine. So this will be a one-off for this one video. And before too long, I'll be back home from college anyway, so I won't have anywhere to forget my microphone. So we'll be good. But after that, I was having trouble getting to like get any output from my webcam on OBS for some reason. I wouldn't want to do that. I tried it on my phone, and like for some reason, maybe my screen protector was making me look like fuzzy, like I looked like face tuned. It was weird. But finally, I don't know what I did because it didn't change anything, but it started working. So here I am. I have kind of a bullet point, not bulletproof, bullet point list on my phone here of what I want to talk about because I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I think it's been 9, 10 months now since last time we uploaded on the channel. And I want to kind of acknowledge that and also just talk a little bit about Enderwarp and my relationship to it and everything. Because the reason I went up to meet Rick for the first time last week is because the 1st of April, which as I'm recording this, it is 1:45 in the morning on the 8th of April. So this was exactly a week ago, just barely. April 1st was the 10-year anniversary of me joining Enderwarp, which, obviously a decade is a big milestone for anyone. This is especially important because I was 10 when I joined into work, which means I've now spent half of my life in this group, which is crazy because it really has like defined my life. Like that is the turning point of when I not only I think became the person I am now, but like I would be completely different person, completely different personality, interests, all that stuff. If I hadn't gotten that email accepting me onto the server, I think it was, yeah, I put in the community post what exact time it was. I don't remember, it was 8 something, I think. But before that, I was not a very online person, at least compared to now. Not a big like gamer, any of that stuff. Like this was all kind of born out of me having this newfound reason to spend so much more time on the internet. But I don't want to talk too much about myself, at least immediately, because I assume most people are here because they want to know what the deal is. So I'm going to jump right into that. Um, uh, let's see. Yeah, I acknowledge it's been a while since we've uploaded anything, and I'm going to say straight out of the gate, we have not gotten very much done on the map in a long time. And it's always kind of been our habit to have our passions wane in and out for getting this done, and like just the amount of drive we put into this. Because me especially, I have times where I will be obsessively contributing to this. There was early 2021, I was 12 hours a day every day for 4 months straight, just working on the map. That was when I first decided I was going to actually complete it. And then I think the next time, Rick and I were actually both kind of hyperfixated or whatever at the same time. It was summer 2022, and that's when we really first started expanding the map. Like before that, we weren't including the mall, that whole like half of the map. We like doubled our intentions. And though that's like, I don't want to give the impression that all of a sudden we're very on and off and we've been like failing or whatever, because this has always kind of been how things worked. The difference is with two people, If it's only every once in a while that either of us are really like driven to do stuff, that's a problem. As opposed to when there was like, I'd say maybe 8 core members and a bunch of other like kind of secondary people who would do their own thing but be around for community. When like if somebody or even multiple people were gone back then, it's not a problem. People would still be around to get stuff done. But it's really just Rick and I that are ever on the server these days, and even us. I've got to be honest, we are not on very often. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Uh, I keep telling myself that whatever is about to happen in my life is going to give me an excuse to get more stuff done. Like the last time that I was finishing a school year last year, I was like, oh yeah, now that it's the summer, I'll be doing lots, and then I didn't. And I think hopefully I'll be getting some stuff done a lot more this coming summer that's starting in a month or so. Uh, Especially because I've kind of revitalized my passion a bit because of seeing Rick and all of this stuff and the anniversary. But I don't know that. Maybe nothing will happen. Maybe I'll get it all done in a day. Who knows? Anything could happen. But yeah, I kind of try to pre-prepare what I was saying, and I'm not like doing a perfect job of um, capturing this. But I think what's kind of important to keep in mind is this is, at least for me, less about like complete disregard or whatever for the channel because I realize we have been slacking. It's more about, I guess, knowing that as soon as we pick up uploading again, that means we'll presumably have to keep doing so indefinitely. I'm not complaining about that. I'm not saying like, oh, it's miserable working on this channel. I don't feel that way. The issue is that this is kind of by nature a very unsustainable like genre of video because our main thing is The Simpsons, and there's only so many things that are iconic enough to tour from that because we realized from experience from the last regime when Rick was more like the sole leader with Zap that they were touring like random background builds and stuff that was like in one episode, but like you don't see the exterior or whatever. And people don't watch that, and it's not as interesting making those videos. So I don't want to just be like, okay, here's the name's escaping me, but there's one build on the map that's you don't even see the exterior. So we put a massive crab, lobster, whatever statue outside. Like people aren't gonna watch that. We're not gonna enjoy it, etc. So like there's kind of the built-in like attraction, even if it's not that much, where people will want to watch, iconic stuff. The Simpsons house, or like for other shows, people will usually like want to watch those because just as it is those are interesting. There's Breaking Bad, for example. Like if I was not in an Enderwarp, I would stick around to watch that video just because I care about that and I want to watch it. Whereas if it's something like, I don't know, Reverend Lovejoy's house, let's say, people are not going to watch that solely for the build unless they're already an existing fan. So my hope would be that all of our content is it's interesting and like captivating enough just for like our personalities and stuff that people would want to watch it just for that, even if they don't care that much about the builds. And I think we definitely have not been living up to that, and I don't really know how we would be able to. Like one thing that I've kind of thrown out there with Rick, and I don't know how he feels about it. This was a while ago. It's just like recording tours over and over and over for the same builds, then splicing together just the actually interesting parts from each of those to make it more like captivating. Because like most of the time these videos are kind of boring. I have to be honest. I don't think Rick and I are anywhere near the most entertaining duo of hosts on this channel. Back when we were swapping out the host all the time, at sort of the end of the last reign, it would be like I remember Chup and Mike were always a very entertaining duo. Or like Ned had just like this energy where like you would always want to watch him. I just don't have that with Rick. One thing that I noticed when I was hanging out with him in person is that wasn't a problem there. There was good banter. I really enjoyed our conversations. And at the same time, when we're doing this, I don't know why it is. Maybe it's because of the format or our own lack of like strong passion for The Simpsons or whatever at this point in our life or whatever, but it just isn't the same. And I want to be putting out good content. I want to be making videos that I would want to watch. I feel like we've kind of failed that, I guess. And where we are now, when we first started, when we first brought the channel back, fall 2022 it was. One of the things we wanted to do is we would alternate between, you know, 1 month's video would be a Simpsons tour, and the next month would be, some other show, Breaking Bad or whatever, and we would go back and forth like that. But that especially is very hard to do because we have lots and lots of stuff from the Simpsons tour, even if, like I said, most of it is not very entertaining. Whereas for other shows, that is in very, very short supply, especially because neither Rick and I, or at least again, I keep kind of almost starting to speak for Rick, and I don't want to do that because he's not present. Do that. At least I can't even remember the last time I watched a cartoon. The reason it wasn't to build it. That's mainly what we do. Like there's Breaking Bad, and I still intend on including the Johto map, Pokemon, and maybe more Pokemon stuff. I feel like that's more interesting to me. Or like South Park, that's something that Rick and I have both said before that we have more of a passion for. Because honestly, I was never super huge into The Simpsons. I didn't like hate it or anything, but you'd have to keep in mind that I think Ned is 10-ish years older than me. So he and the generation of people that he started the server with, they very much grew up with The Simpsons in a way that Rick and I and probably a lot of the other people that had been involved before the group kind of split off a few years ago were. Rick and I at least, it was what that role was filled by South Park instead. So I would much more enjoy that because for me, like the only times in the past like years or whatever that I've been watching The Simpsons is so we can build something from it. That's like not just watching it. And it's a good show. I'm not saying I hate it or whatever, but I am just like, especially at this stage of my life, I've kind of, that genre of show isn't as much for me. Like lately, some of my like favorite shows ever, um, like Succession, Breaking Bad, and Better Call Saul, which we've toured from, etc. But a lot of these shows, with the exception basically of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, which are kind of good in like short, like small amounts of builds from those shows, be good. A lot of stuff that I watch, you just can't build stuff from. Like it's not well suited. Like if I was trying to, for example, build like Waystar Royco, that's from Succession, that would be impossible. That's a gigantic building. You'd get no sense of the layout, and there's like probably dozens of floors, so you don't even see it all. Like I don't know how you go about that. And so because of that, what it ends up feeling like is we'll be completely struggling to think of anything to build. We'll be like watching stuff or whatever just for the sake of like making content from it, which is not very fulfilling for us. And like I think Rick is more of a cartoon guy than I am. Like I know that he's been watching some of the DC animated shows from back in the day, which he did actually mention that unfortunately those would not be very well suited to tours. But just like, especially for me, half the time, like I don't know if I'm trying to speak carefully because I don't want to spoil any future tours. But a lot of times it's been like, okay, I'm gonna watch like 3 episodes or whatever of this show that I've never seen before because Rick's built stuff from whatever show this might be, and I'm not really getting anything out of that. And I imagine for Rick, it's not very fun. I we can't have that like active conversation about it, and I imagine that extends people watching it too, where you can very much tell like our heart just isn't in it in the way that someone like Ned really cared about that stuff back in the day. And it will sometimes like when it'll be like, okay, we'll decide, yes, we need to put a video out. It's been too long, whatever, we've been slacking. It'll take us days to figure out anything we can tour because we have really ran dry, iconic Simpson stuff. And when we realize that, okay, we think what's something else we can tour, and then that ends up being either we're like forcing ourselves to do it because it's a show we don't really care about. Like Rick and I, for example, Loud House. I know the Loud House tour is like the most viewed video, I think, from the like 2017, 18, 19 era. And I don't think any of us really cared about that show. We just like toured it because we knew people liked it and it was something to build. But like that's not something that I don't know if I've seen a single episode of that show since I was like 10 years old or whatever, when I was like first on uh TV. So it just becomes like very difficult being like, okay, yes, after however many months, there've been multiple times where Rick and I said we should probably start uploading again. And just like weighs on us that as soon as we do that, this is indefinitely something that every month we'll have to figure out what we can even do because we don't want to fall back into making random garbage videos. And also, no, there's just yeah, I'm kind of restating my point at this point. This is very loosely scripted. I'm probably gonna release this very not very edited either. This is kind of just a from the heart whatever thing that is here. But I'm gonna go back to my script. Um, like I definitely do want to release other stuff. I mentioned South Park might be something down the road. We're definitely releasing them out. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. I know that it's been a very long time coming. I don't even know when the last map release was, but we are doing that. Don't worry. I definitely hope to have that out by. I hope I don't regret saying this because this is kind of just coming out of my mouth without me thinking. But hopefully by the end of this year for sure. Because I remember thinking back when I first started, oh yeah, it's like I'm going to backtrack a little bit. My thinking was at the time I was really into The Office, and that show was getting taken off of Netflix. So I thought to myself, okay, we could tour this, bring back the channel to tour it around the same time it's getting taken off Netflix. People will be like searching for it online, so people might find our video. And it's like, oh yeah, I'll revive the channel by releasing the map. It'll take me, I don't know, I think it was like January of that year of 2021 that The Office was being taken off. It was like late December when I decided on this. I was like, oh yeah, I'll have it out by January or whatever. And now it's been more than 5 years since then. So I underestimated how long this would take by just a little bit. I was a little bit over there. But that's something we're definitely doing. Those two, Pokemon. I might be repeating myself. One thing I've been thinking about doing. This would be a lot more complicated because it's very different than building something from a show. But I might like to do some stuff from like Red Dead Redemption or like Fallout New Vegas or whatever. Those are like my two favorite games besides Minecraft. That might be fun. Um, but it's really at the stage right now where we're worrying about like how to kind of reinvent this. Because like one thing that I've thought about is like getting other people on. But the issue is we don't really talk to the other like half of whatever Enderwarp used to be. It's not like active beef or anything. We just kind of grew apart, I guess. There was once upon a time beef because like I said, I was 10 when I joined, so I was a good bit younger than everyone else, and conflict inevitably arose from the fact that I was this, I think the next youngest person when I joined, which was 10 years ago now, was like 13, 14. So it was like at minimum people 4 or more years older than me, and I was kind of, intruding on their friend group, and inevitably, they sometimes weren't super thrilled about that, as to which I don't blame them about. But eventually, that came to a head, and I'll occasionally have short conversations with those guys, but it's just not the same as before. And if any of them wanted to come back and do stuff for the channel, I would be more than happy to do that with them. Because I know at least some of them, like I know Zap watches these videos, at least some of them, and he did come back for Futurama and maybe something else. I can't remember completely for sure, but he definitely came back for Futurama. It was fun having him back. And I've invited some of my own friends, and so far, no one's taken me up on the offer. But maybe that'll happen someday. I don't know. I can't read the future. But like another thing, like I mentioned, I'm really into Fallout, and I've been wanting to get into Fallout modding. And I might, I'm not replacing Minecraft with this, but in addition to Minecraft stuff, I might do whatever stuff related to that on here. That would not be a big thing. That would be like maybe a video every few months or whatever about that. I'm just like, I don't know what to do because I don't want to like quit Enderwarp forever. Rick doesn't want to do that. None of us do. But it's become like we're in such an awkward position in terms of how to even continue this, that we don't know what to do. Because like even the schedule of once a month, that's not like that's not much work just making the video. Like the recording and editing itself. I could each one do in a day or whatever, but the issue is like if we had been uh the old schedule we had for the previous era, I guess, we'd have like I think at least 2 videos out a week. If we had been doing that from the start of this new era, we would have run out of stuff to word by like probably the end of that year. Like completely. Like just like been done with content because we're kind of inherently working on borrowed time, making stuff, the type of content that we make. So it's like with that in mind, it's very scary being like, okay, we've been struggling for a year now already to think of things to tour. As soon as we bring back this channel, we're gonna be worrying about that again. And I feel like eventually, I think there'll inevitably be a time where there's just not that much more we can do with this. Because like even like I hope we do pick up other projects like South Park or whatever other stuff I've mentioned. But even that, there's a limited amount of times we can make content from that because there's only so much show, and we don't want to be making garbage. So I don't know exactly what'll happen from here. That's still being figured out, but I don't want this to be the end of the channel. This is, a very, very meaningful part of my life. Like I said, getting into this group was without a doubt like the biggest like turning point in my life. Like that's the event that changed me. And but part of that I think that's also relevant to understanding like um why my relationship with the channel and creation for Minecraft and all of that stuff has evolved. Because, you know, I imagine this is the case for a lot of us. I'm not gonna say it outright because I don't know that, but I always got the impression, it's true of me, that a lot of us on Enderwarp, we this was kind of our social outlet, especially earlier on, like 2015, 16, whatever. We probably did not have, at least I, that many real life friends, whatever. Like I, instead of going out to like the a basketball court or whatever kids do for their like strong memories, their formative moments, that was on the Enderwarp server for me. And because even after that, like when I first had the falling out with the main group, that was like very, very devastating for me. I did not handle it well. I was like, can't remember how often, but I would very regularly be like messaging them, be like trying everything I could to try to get back in their good graces. I like did not really trying to think like I think the first like close friendship I made again after that, it wasn't like kind of in passing whatever. Almost a year after that falling out, like I very much kind of specialized, I guess, in that like indoor. I would almost call it, at least back in the day, kind of its own culture. Like we had our own terminology, our own like historical events, whatever, and like it really like at least for me kind of made it a challenge to like start over new with new people, and I've definitely moved on past that, and I've also realized that I think I was misidentifying things as it being because I was an Enderwarp that I was struggling to connect with people, and the truth is just me being autistic, not realizing it. But anyway, as more and more time has passed, let me backtrack. Uh, when, like me at the time, you've had so few other things to compare to in terms of like social whatever, it's very easy, I guess, to assume that whatever connections you do have are like uniquely um, meaningful, strong, whatever. Like I fully believed that, like shortly after I had been exiled from the main group, that like I was just like my best days were past me, and I was like 14, 15, I think 14 at the time. So that's kind of where I was at because I fully believe, that was the connection of my life, whatever. But another factor of it was I only really felt that because I was like it was inaccessible, so I could mythologize it or whatever, because there were times before that where without any drama, I think at one point I disappeared mostly from the group for like a year. Uh, no real reason. I was just like doing other stuff, and I think I only really started um, mythologizing. Like I said, I think that's the best way to put it. Enderwarp after it was like the one that got away. I wanted what I couldn't have essentially, and so I for a long, long time, like years, really, really, I guess even overestimated the importance of that to my life because it's definitely still true. I'm not like going back and me saying that that was the formative event of my life, but I was like blowing it up in my mind. It was like I was thinking it was a much bigger factor than it really was. And as I've like grown since then over the years and found myself and like my other interest, made new friends that are like closer to me now than any of the Indie Warp guys were back in the day. Because I was never like truly like one of the guys or whatever. Because I was a kid and they were teenagers. Um, but like now that I have so many other things to compare it to, it's become harder for me to um, mythologize Enderwarp in the way that I was. And so just like not on my mind as much. Like it used to be, I was constantly like, okay, we need to bring Enderwarp back. We need to bring Enderwarp back. Blah blah blah. Like it was having that group and that outlet and all that stuff was very important to me. But now there's so many more people in my life, and I think I'm doing much better, like by far socially. Like I think I'm doing very well, and it just you know kind of replaced, I guess, in some ways, the importance that I put on that with other things. I'm a human being. There have been other dramas in my life. I've had falling outs with people and then made up with them and all of that stuff. And, it's no longer this one thing that I feel like made me who I was. And kind of similarly, one of the things I most enjoyed for as long as I can remember about like working on the map is that it can be kind of mindless work, especially if you're doing block updates, like which was mostly what I was doing near the beginning. You can just like put on music or a YouTube video or whatever, and just you can mainly pay attention to that while also being productive. There's kind of just an excuse for me to just either sit with my thoughts or sit with those songs and videos and whatever, because I'm kind of the type of person like, no, I need to either be having fun or being productive. And by having fun, that'll mean like, I'll only watch YouTube while eating or drinking. And then like, I'll put on whatever, because I'm trying to like optimize whatever in my head. And it gave me kind of an excuse to, just sit with whatever and not like maximize everything, 50 screens going on at once. So I really enjoyed that. And as I've gotten more games, I think the big turning point was having my first like proper gaming PC. I have so many more options for stuff to like do that with. Like it's not just Minecraft that I can be doing whatever with. And when other things are oftentimes more fun for me, that's what I'm gonna choose. When it's a question of like, I want to watch this YouTube or listen to this YouTube video. What should I do in the meantime? I'm not going to go with that. So that's really evolved, I guess, my relationship to building on this server because I no longer have that built-in like motivator, I guess, because it's like, okay, I could, listen to this YouTube video or album or whatever while playing Minecraft, or while playing like Fortnite, or while driving, because I really love just like driving lessons, or while playing Fallout, Red Dead, whatever, any game where like it's not constantly on. You don't need to focus. So just by default, that means I'm spending less time because there really was a long time where, despite how much I played Minecraft, that was basically the only thing I played. That is very much no longer the case. So I'm on less. I'm gonna get back to my like list of thoughts, but I think at this point I'm kind of like looping back on myself a little bit, and I don't want to just be repeating myself forever because I know that's something I'm bad about, the rambling. I thought this would be maybe an 8-minute video, and we're at the exactly 30-minute mark. Excuse me, that's weird timing. But I'm already way past probably holding most of your time. But um, point is, now that I've said it, I'm doubling down. Yeah, map out by the end of this year, maybe even sooner because my school year is ending soon, and then after that, I'm taking like a gap time. I'm not graduated yet, and I'm not like dropping it. It's like I'm stopping to work because I'm going to transfer. Uh, I'll actually be closer to Rick, which means maybe we can do more stuff, whatever in person. But yeah, I'll be map out by the end of this year. It's official, whatever. What else can I say? Um, Hopefully, I'll also start making Fallout mod stuff. I know that that probably isn't going to be the target audience this channel has. But like I said, that's not a replacement. It'll be in addition to whatever, and rarely because that's not something kind of similar to the. What else? Hopefully South Park, definitely Johto, maybe even more. Like I've thought about what Pokemon maps I would want to make if I was to do even more. I know Zap once upon a time started making Sinnoh. I don't think he got far in, um, but there was something there, and that's something that I can maybe get like more people to join me for because I only learned this recently, but I know Rick is also at least for a time into Pokemon. Luke, who I don't see around much anymore, but he exists. He definitely was. Maybe Toyo, I'm not positive. Ned was, but he's not around anymore. Um, he, I don't mean he's dead. He's not dead. He is a very accomplished academic now, if you believe it. I'm not gonna go into the details, but he's a very, very, very smart guy. A lot of those guys from the original team are very smart because they all knew each other through college, maybe. Like I think one of them is a rocket scientist or something. Like I'm not exaggerating here. Like I know everyone says it's not rocket science, but I mean like in the literal sense, he designs rockets or something. This is all like old secondhand information. But I'm getting off topic. Um, what I was going to say is maybe Sinnoh because it had also been started, but the two that I'm most interested in would be Alola because Gen 7 was my first generation, and it'd be kind of interesting seeing like how different it would be building stuff from a game that isn't 2D because we've only ever done fully Kanto and Johto. Uh, and the next choice would maybe be Unova because I like those games. Those are probably my favorites. It's like God, the name is escaping me. Alola is like the nostalgia factor, which I know make me sound like a fake fan because that was like it's Gen 7. That's not exactly early. And Unova is like the uh, peak or whatever for me. But I'm not saying we're gonna do all of that. That's like I feel like I really don't want to stop doing this, but I also don't want to like do this forever. I guess. So all of this, what we'll be doing from here on out, really depends on our motivation and all of that stuff. So that's a big factor of it. I'm going to go ahead and say, kind of on that topic, this inevitably is not going to be a channel that, at least as it is now, is going to go on forever because so many of the rest of the group, I think maybe all of them now, have kind of grown out of playing Minecraft, and that's just people who aren't even with like working with us anymore. Like Rick, I think is I definitely am, though I think I get back into it. These things wane. Like I said earlier, they come and go, especially because it really is just like about uh, what I am or am not hyper fixated on at the time. So that's a big and very hard to control factor. But yeah, maybe eventually what it'll come down to is that we'll like use the channel, or I will, like, because I don't want Enderwarp to die. This is a very rare opportunity that I got, and it's very important to me. So I don't want to like let this channel die. So if it comes down to it, maybe however many years from now, I'll just use the channel for something. I don't know what, but I don't want it to end completely. And essentially, what I do want to say is what I'm not doing here is committing to a full regular schedule. 'Cause I've done a pretty good job of like illustrating why that's not super feasible because of the type of content we do. Like if we went back to um, however many regular uploads, for one, we would run out of stuff to do, but also the burnout factor would just make like Rick and I just not want to do it because we want to be working on this when we feel like it, when we this is our choice. And if it becomes like a massive chore for us, might be that the stuff we even do want to do doesn't get finished because it takes the joy out of it. So, um, I'm I'm not committing to any one style of how this is going to continue. Maybe it'll be, I'm not even going to try to speculate because I have a very bad track record of trying to guess how I will or will not approach the future of Enderwarp. But, my point is this isn't the end. We'll see what will happen from here. One thing I have been wanting to do is remake completely a lot of our old tours. That's not the same thing as retouring because a lot of these I don't know if they need like block updates or whatever. But what I do want to do is just yes, a lot of these, like I said, they are not up to my standards of quality. So I like to go back and redo these and make these into videos that I think people will watch just for the sake of it and not just for the build. Like perfect world, there would be people who would like watch our videos, even if it's just like touring. I'm trying to think of like a super like the like doorbell store, Senor Ding Dongs or whatever. Like that's not something anybody who's not some super obsessive whatever fan like us would know. But I just want to like make good content because I'm definitely a creative whatever at heart. So I don't know what exactly the future will look like, but there is a future here. This is not the end. This will be approximately the millionth time we've had to fake out quitting, like seemingly abandonment of the channel or whatever. But this isn't the end, and hopefully, we'll all be happy with where things go from here, whatever that may be. Woo!